In drawing 2D-10, we're going to see how to use the polyline command, the explode command, the offset command, and the rectangular array command. And we'll also see how to draw leaders. But let's first begin with the polyline command, and we're going to draw this 6-inch square using the polyline command. I know we could do this using the rectangle command, but I want to demonstrate the polyline command so I can also demonstrate the explode command. So I'm drawing these lines, so there's 6.5 by 6.5 inches to complete this square. Now we want to offset this polyline by a distance of 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to choose the offset command, and then I'm going to enter 1/4, and then I'm going to pick the polyline anywhere on the polyline, and then I'm going to bring my crosshair inside anywhere. It doesn't matter how far I'm bringing it in, because AutoCAD knows to just offset it by 1/4 of an inch, since that's the offset value that we set. Okay, right now if you click on these two polylines without any command active, you'll see that they're just two objects, that the polylines are connected and they're one continuous segment. What we want to do is break the inside polyline back down so that it is 4 separate segments. For this we use the explode command. It's found right underneath the eraser icon, which represents the erase command. So we'll click on explode and then click and select the inside polyline and then hit enter. You won't see much happen, but if you come back and just click on that inside polyline, you'll see it's no longer a polyline, it's 4 separate line segments. Since we have the inside lines now separate line segments, we can use the offset command to make the lines, the main lines of the checkerboard that we need. So we'll use the offset command. It's just below the explode command, and our offsets for these large squares should be 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to pick the left inside line, that's now a separate line segment, and then I'm just going to move to the right. It doesn't matter how far, because AutoCAD knows to make the offset 3/4 of an inch, since that's what we set our offset value to. So I'm just going to continue clicking each one of these lines that I'm offsetting till I have all the vertical lines, and then I'll come and offset the bottom inside line and continue offsetting each of these lines until I have all the lines that I need. Next, I'm going to zoom in to the lower left corner. I'm also going to turn my grid on, and now I'm going to draw a line, one single line inside this first square, so that it just goes up and makes a line segment between the first 2 major lines of our checkerboard. Now I'm going to use the offset command again, and I'm going to offset this little line that I just drew by a distance of 1/8. So I'll offset it to the right, and then that one I'll offset, and I'll just keep offsetting these until I have all 5 that I need inside that lower left square. Next, we want to copy these from this lower left square to the square that's up and above to the right diagonally from this square. So I'm going to use the copy command. The copy command also is up in the modified panel. I'm going to select all of those lines. I can select them individually, or I can click out here and put a window around them all, and then hit enter. Then for my base point, I'm going to use this lower left corner of this first square and then drag this up. If your ortho's on, you need to turn that off at this time, but I'm going to drag it up at a diagonal till I'm lined up with the corner, the bottom left corner of that adjacent diagonal square. Then I'm going to hit enter, because that's all I want to copy at this time. Now we're going to use a angular array to copy the rest of these. Of course, we could copy them, but the array command makes it much easier and goes much faster. So we're going to choose the rectangular array. If you're seeing the polar array still, you'll have to click on the little down arrow to access the rectangular array. And then let's drag a window to select the small spaced lines that we just drew and copied. Once all of the items to be arrayed have been selected, hit enter. And next we need to specify the count, that is the number of items we want arrayed. So we'll enter C. And for the number of rows, we want 4 rows. Of course, you see there's 8 rows of squares, but we already have 2 of them filled in. So we only need 4 to complete the total number of rows. Same way with the columns. We only need 4 columns. And then the spacing needs to be configured. So we're going to enter S to enter the spacing configuration mode. And the space between rows, the distance between rows, should be 1.5. Although the rows are 3/4 of an inch apart, remember we have 2 rows already filled in, so we add 3/4 to 3/4, hence the 1.5 inch distance. Same thing with the distance between columns, 1 1/2. And then when we hit enter, we should see a pop-up menu appear, and we're going to choose exit. And now we have our rectangular array complete. Our next step is to construct the leaders on the left side of the drawing that describes the offset, the size of the squares, and the spacing of the 1/8 inch lines. The leader command is found underneath the linear dimension command in the annotation panel. So let's click on that. And you want to click at the point where you want the arrowhead to point to. Then you want to drag the leader up at the desired angle. Then you want to type in the note. And as soon as I type in 1/4, AutoCAD pops up the Auto Stack Properties dialog box, asking us how we want that fraction to look, whether it should be at a diagonal fraction or a horizontal fraction or stacked using auto stacking. We're going to convert it to a horizontal fraction. Leave it just like it's shown on the screen now. You can also check the Don't Show This dialog box again. Always use these settings options if you want. And then continue by typing in the rest of the note. Then clicking on the Close Text Editor, the big X up there in the upper right corner. After you have all the leaders in place, let's put the final vertical dimension, the one that says 6.5 inch square. We're using the linear dimension, and we're picking the 2 corners of the checkerboard. But before we place the 3rd point, we want to use the Elm option in order to input some text. And again, we'll move to the right of our 6.5 inch notation and then type in the square note and then close the text editor. Now you can place the 3rd point for the dimension. You may have to place it a little further than you're normally used to in order to accommodate the size of this note for the dimension.